Здравствуйте, товарищи, and welcome back to our humble Soviet Republic, nestled deep, seemingly, in the middle of nowhere. Off in the distance, Ashkakal continues to show signs of renewed prosperity, and our economy is actually looking pretty alright. It's not amazing, but it's getting there. And folks, to that end, I have some grand plans for today's session, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get this party started. As we make our initial moves, I want to really quickly address the comments of the previous episode, where I got a ton of excellent feedback with regards to how I approach the editing process for this series. As expected, there is of course no consensus, but that's a given. Everyone wants something a little bit different. That's how it always is. But the good thing is that in seeing all of your comments and seeing the varied feedback I got, I've been able to, I think, come up with a solution that should make things better for everyone's viewing experience, as best as possible at least. And that involves a bit of editing from time to time, but largely going with the old method. The vast majority of you did say that you would prefer the old method where you're able to watch the individual decisions being made, because especially with a game like this, like I said myself as well, I feel quite strongly about this. With a game like this in particular, you want to make sure that you're seeing the decision making, you're involved perhaps in the decision making, and you're able to assist or point out issues or see how things are actually done. Because it's such a complex game, that's half the fun of it. Again, at least in my opinion, and clearly in many of your opinions too. But from time to time, again, as many of you have rightfully pointed out, there's a lot of fiddling going on. For example, just terraforming this section to make the road work was probably 10 to 15 minutes of work. And do you really need to watch me slowly figure out this this ramp over here? Probably not. So things like that will probably edit out. And other things, larger undertakings that are less fiddly and more explanatory, those will probably do time lapses of. So a bit of a mixed bag of solutions, and hopefully we'll end up somewhere that everyone can enjoy. As always, I am open to more feedback, folks, so if you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments down below. But otherwise, I do hope you're enjoying this series, and if you are, please don't hesitate to keep letting me know by leaving those likes and comments down below. They do make a very big difference, again, in letting me know what people are enjoying. They inform me with regards to how I can adjust my approach to make sure things are better. I'm always looking to improve the content on this channel, and apart from that, they let me know what I should do more or less of, how frequently, and so on and so forth. Anyway, one big change I want to make over here is with regards to our line that's providing crops to the warehouse. You already probably saw me make an adjustment to this distribution office to make sure that this truck will every once in a while pick up some chemicals and drop them off over here. We might actually also, you know what, go ahead and load crops and drop them off at this warehouse as well, because I want to make sure that we never find ourselves in a position where we're not producing fabric. And that's happening pretty consistently now, especially now that we've temporarily cut off the export of oil. We cannot have any inefficiencies when it comes to the export of clothes. So just going to add a couple of those instructions to this distribution office to prevent that from happening. And oh, you know what, I just realized, where are you actually going? Albalutakia. Okay, wanted to make sure we were going to the right spot there. Apart from that, I do also not just want, but need to make an adjustment here. This guy is not going to be able to unload his crops. Let's go ahead and pick this up to like 12% just to give him some room there. And as soon as he's done, I'm going to go ahead and pause momentarily. That's another piece of feedback that I got, by the way, which was excellent. I should try to never use the pause button unless it's an absolute emergency or it's a matter of precise timing like this, where I'm trying to make sure that Buddy here has dropped off his crops, and then he immediately gets assigned to a different workplace. That way he's not going to pick up any clothes, we don't have to wait for him to go to that end, etc., etc., etc. Anyway, yes, I'm going to try avoiding the pause button as much as possible, because it'll keep things going, it'll keep things rolling, it'll make sure we're not ever grinding to a complete halt, even when I am dealing with some of the smaller level stuff. Micro level stuff we should be editing out, but there's some mid-level stuff that I think feels even slower when we're pausing on top of everything else. Anyway, back on topic over here, Buddy's being sent to the depot, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to replace him. I wanted to get another truck. We've got the money for it, though he just spent a ton picking up a bunch of chemicals. We've got the money for an additional truck that'll join in on this route, which would probably be for the better. Let's try this actually. Let's go ahead and get the covered hull for the distribution office, because Buddy here is going to do the crops and chemicals, while this one singular truck over here, no, not this one, over here, is going to also bring back crops, because he might as well since he's going there, and will be the sole exporter of clothes. We'll see what the numbers look like. But if this truck never hits a full 6.5 tons of clothes, then that means we don't really need 2 trucks on this line. The only time we'd need 2 trucks on this line is if we're running desperately low on cash and we need to quickly move clothes. Even half a ton of clothes will make a difference to our economy. But I don't think we're there yet. And if we end up back there, well, then we have bigger problems. But for the time being, I think we're okay. Again, famous last words. I know. But let's keep an eye on the situation over here. This is almost done. And I just want to make sure... You'll notice I checked the notify me when finished box as well. I can uncheck that now because we're looking right now. But I want to make sure that construction offices are being assigned right away. So hopefully I can keep an eye on the corner over here and spot these notifications as they come. Same thing up over here. That's why I checked the notification box. As soon as this is done, I want to make sure that the construction offices are continuing down over here, because any time wasted is money wasted. Not only is time money, but in this case, quite literally so, we're not making money, and we continue to waste money when we're not able to use these essential, industries and facets of our growing nation. Now, really quickly, just want to check the situation as far as our population is concerned. 75 people with a university education, that's not too shabby. 21 escapes, that's okay. I've come to accept the fact that we did well at first. We did quite well at first, actually, but given the conditions of some of the housing, given the struggles of maintaining a growing population, and given our technological level as well as our economic situation, yeah, we're going to have some struggles, and that's okay. We're trying our best. But it was fun to keep us at sub 10 escapes for as long as we could. Now, let's take a quick look over here. Unable to visit a hospital. That'll hopefully be solved soon as more and more educated folks, like university-educated folks, are able to work at the clinic. Again, I don't think it's a matter of needing a bigger hospital. We are also now finally delivering fuel to the clinic, so ambulances will be able to go out more frequently. But our struggle wasn't that. For those of you that were lamenting that factor and commenting on that, that wasn't our issue. Our issue was people were walking to the clinic because they go for regular checkups, and there was no doctor there to look after them. That was the issue. So hopefully that'll be solved. Crime is still a bit of an issue, and I just wonder if we shouldn't adjust things a little bit here to make sure more of these folks go to the police station. Over here as well, we should probably get some folks going to the police station. Ah, it's too far away, is it? What about the courts? Yeah, we could do with some more judges as well. Because again, these university-educated people are living in these buildings, but if they're not able to work, then we are, not making good use of them. Oh, I say work. I don't mean generally work. I mean work where they're needed, of course. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on some of this. These guys as well. Like, will you be able to reach the police station? Not right now. So why don't we go ahead and upgrade these roads, because I think that'll make the difference I need here. Footpath connection over here to make sure people are still able to get their culture. And of course I can't. Fantastic. Well, I can temporarily get rid of this road over here. Right, because it's not actually taking anyone anywhere. This footpath connection takes people to here. People don't actually need to visit the monuments or anything. I'll just need to make sure that we can eventually make this connection. We'll have to destroy a bit of this. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Not the end of the world, but it'll be added effort that I didn't necessarily want to have to do. Nonetheless, let's put this connection down over here. In fact, I could probably actually make it a permanent connection. So make it out of gravel, why not? And then we'll go ahead and upgrade this as soon as this is done as well. Yeah, construction offices are being automatically assigned. Good stuff. Trying to figure out how I want to go about upgrading this. We'll have to do it in pieces, unfortunately. But we will upgrade this in due time. Nonetheless, up over here, how are we looking? We're not looking at all, apparently. I bring in some gravel over, then the asphalt, and up over here. Again, I know I have the notifications on, but can't help but double check. just to make sure things are still operating and we aren't overloading our construction offices. On which note, folks, it's time to revisit our construction offices. So many of you have been suggesting this for a while. I think it is finally time for us to actually get proper construction offices and to actually expand our industrial capabilities a little bit further as well. Now, we're not going to be staffing a bunch of factories in the next hour or so, but it's time to start planning for how some of this stuff becomes a bit more permanent. These free construction offices offer very little in terms of, well, space, fuel, any of that kind of stuff, and we've been suffering for the last little while as a result. So I'm going to go ahead and shift our construction offices down a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get the maintenance building set up as well, as promised and mentioned before. And in order to do that, well, we're going to have to do a lot of terraforming. Because the construction offices that I'm looking to put down are quite large. I'm tempted to put down the one that stores 16 vehicles, but that one might be a bit too big for what we need right now. But I'd like to put them down over here. We'll have to be very careful to avoid the pipeline we put down, because I think the pipes here are getting in the way of some construction. If I'm not mistaken... Oh, no, it looks like we're okay. Yeah, see, there's a spot here where, like, the pipes are exposed or something, but I can't put anything down there. So I'll have to be careful about that. And I also would like to put down a demolition office somewhere over here, so we have a proper demolition office, not this, rinky-dink temporary demolition office. So building's quite large, but if I place my construction offices starting from past this point, I should be okay. And of course, we'll be removing the old construction offices because these were meant to be temporary after all. So why don't we go ahead and start some of this planning? I mean, first things first, there's going to be a fair bit of terraforming to try and flatten all this down. And we're not just going to put down the construction offices, we're also going to put down the repair station. And as we discussed last session, the repair station needs quite a few resources. And so that means we'll need warehouses for those resources, and also a way to get those resources to those warehouses. I say warehouse, but I also include open space storage in that conversation. And that very same open space storage can be used for our construction offices instead of this one that was, again, also supposed to be temporary. So lots of revamping to be done over here. Let's get to it. Let's not take any more time talking about it. Let's start making a move here, shall we? All right, so that was a fair bit of terraforming, and I'm not convinced that that was actually enough. I should point out, by the way, that I'm very comfortable with doing larger terraforming projects now. I know this was something we discussed many episodes ago, how, like, I don't want to do massive terraforming projects until we're in a better place as a nation and until it makes a bit more sense for us to do it. But this terraforming project in particular, I'm perfectly comfortable with because I think we are in a better place as a nation overall in terms of our general advancement and our knowledge that this is now a permanent settlement. You know, we found oil, we're starting to make a decent bit of money on a semi-regular basis, etc., etc. But beyond that as well, this is just sand, right? So we're not carving mountains per se. We will do that every once in a while, like we did up there. But we're not, even there actually, I should say, all the way up over here, we did work around the mountain. It's not like we, in a hypothetical role play approach here, we didn't like use dynamite to explode these mountains or anything like that. We worked around the hard rock. Later on, we'll, of course, do exactly that and like basically do the in-game equivalent of exploding mountains and carving whatever paths we want. And from time to time, of course, even now, we will adjust ever so slightly some of these harder to adjust areas. You can see they get marked in red. They're a bit harder to move around because they're rock. The very same thing that we can use to quarry out stone and produce gravel and stuff like that. Anyway, just wanted to explain that in case you guys were wondering, like, oh, this is a huge terraforming project. What about the thing we talked about many episodes ago? That's my kind of logic there. The other thing is, like, if we don't do that at one point, we're just not going to be able to build these massive kind of projects, these massive infrastructure situations. Obviously, by and large, we're still going to follow the flow of geography, but from time to time, as a growing, soon-to-be glorious nation, we will have to mold nature to our needs, of course. Anyway, I think that's maybe enough terraforming. We'll find out as we lay some of the buildings out. But first, I want to very briefly check up over here. We've got crops, we've got chemicals, we've got fabric being produced without issue, clothes being produced without issue. Yeah, worker count's looking okay. Clothes are coming through very slowly, aren't they? Maybe I've just gotten used to playing at double speed. Anyway, back on topic. Let's go ahead and extend this road out with gravel or with asphalt. Let's go with asphalt. I think it's time to take things up a notch. I'm okay with not having streetlights in some of these like more industrial areas, by the way, like near construction offices and things like that, including like up over here, this path to the oil fields. I'm okay with these guys not having streetlights. It feels believable to me. Like when we drive up to like Northern Ontario, for example, you'll come through long stretches of, you know, well-made and maintained roads, but they don't have streetlights. So that's the vibe I get, really. Whereas, of course, main roads within a city, within a town, will absolutely have lights and all that good stuff. That's my thinking. Let me know what you guys think, obviously, but that's why I've been taking this approach. I saw some of y'all ask in the comments, like, why am I doing this? That's why. So hopefully that explains the thinking there. And I do think that this will work out nicely. And I don't want to go through 2 levels of like, I want to do this once. I want this to be a one and done kind of upgrade to our construction office situation. That isn't locking perfectly, so we're going to go ahead and not use the grid. Do that. That looks like a straight enough line to me. That looks like a bit of a bump in the road, and I don't know if I love that, so I apologize, folks. We'll quickly get rid of that. Again, if things get too fussy, I will edit, but I think there's just a little bit of fussing over here. And we'll be into the planning of this area shortly. There's a couple of buildings to put down, as I was mentioning previously, and I want to go over the thought process a bit. And as it inevitably gets fiddly, we'll do some editing. Go ahead and flatten this out. Go ahead and smooth this out a little bit as well. Again, we don't often look at the game from this angle, but the rare time we do, I'd like it to look nice. If it's not becoming too obsessive, which sometimes. Listen, I know my weaknesses, I know my faults, and being obsessive is definitely one of them. Alright, so that should be okay, and if we need to extend this road further, we absolutely can. I'm okay with this gentle slope downwards. We could make it a bit quicker to happen, I suppose. We can go ahead and just lower things a bit more early on. And this is actually functional as well, because if we're planning on putting down putting down the demolition office over here, we want to make sure the road can be connected to, obviously. So I'm not just doing this for aesthetics alone. There is a functional purpose to this fiddling over here. That will hopefully be enough, and we'll cross that bridge when we get here, I guess. I mean, the option is there to do this bit in dirt, because this bit might need adjusting, right? And then take it up to roughly there, and then do the rest in asphalt, because that will hopefully not need adjusting. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Copy down like so, and if down the line we need to extend, we can. Yeah, it ends pretty straight. Again, I'm not going to iron out these little bumps. Like, this is all fine. I'm not going to get that particular, don't worry. Okay, so that'll be good. Let's go ahead and get some of these construction offices down. Again, I'm tempted by the 16, the one that has room for 16, but it might be unnecessarily big for where we're at right now. Yeah, let's go with the 12. I think that should do the trick, because right now we have 4 vehicles per construction office. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 28 vehicles right now. Obviously, just having 2 of the 12 isn't enough. We're short by 4. Oh, this is massive. Tempting, but no. Tempting, but no. All right, let's see if we can't fit the 16. So let's see what we can do here. If I can't believe the infrastructure, I see, okay. Again, we want to not be too tight a squeeze, but realistically, we don't want to waste too much space either. So let's go ahead and pop you down like this. Because the demolition office, again, needs to fit just above the construction offices. So you'd go down there. The demolition office would hopefully still fit here. Yeah, it looks like it'll be fine, leaving a bit of wiggle room around it in case there's an issue with infrastructure or too close to another building, that kind of stuff. And let's go ahead and put down the other 16 over here. So that is 32 vehicles, which is a bit more than what we have right now, and that should be enough for the near future at the very least. Can't build you to infrastructure, really? Come on. Okay. Just a slight adjustment then. Nudging this a bit further back. So we can hopefully be lined up. I don't get... This is the one thing, is just like, alright, why are we not... why is the infrastructure supposedly in the way? Alright, let's start on this end, maybe. Is it because another building is nearby? Roughly there, okay. So about here should be okay. The reason, again, why I'm being so particular here is because I need this space too. That's why I'm being particular. But here, these are mostly lined up. And we should still have room for the demolition office as well, just based on prior measurements. We'll do a quick quadruple check, I suppose. Yes, we should be fine. We'll see if something else crops up. But apart from this, which will go there, we'll probably need a road to come through here, and we'll probably do a dirt road for starters because it might need to be temporary. That road that comes through here will connect to the vehicle repair station, which I'd like to place here, for example, so that it can automatically service the vehicles that are within that dotted orange square, the ones that get highlighted in orange, basically. And that should hopefully include these construction offices and also the demolition office, if everything works out nicely. Big if, I know. So if I pop you down here, flatten the terrain a little bit, that's okay. They'll hook up to the side path as well, or the footpath, I should say. I don't know if I want to keep that footpath, but I guess for the time being it's okay. Yeah, so this road would need to extend out of here. Come out like so. Again, hopefully still leaving enough room for the demolition office up over here, but probably not at this point. We might need to get rid of some of these roads and stuff as well to make it fit. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But yes, back to the repair station, the vehicle repair station. I can pop you up right down here, butt it up against that road. And what this should allow me to do is place a warehouse down over here, just a small one. Have it connect to the road, hopefully by going down that way. Oh yeah, looks like it'll work. Thought I saw a connection there. Yeah, how much space do I want to use up here? Let's try this. Like if I put you down there, like it looks nice as well. And I have other uses for some of these connections too. Oh crap, right, I gotta suspend you. Oh, actually I don't. Because this asphalt road is blocking this construction. Good. Good. Okay, so we've got this, This should be able to connect. Yes, it will. Excellent. So that's the warehouse. And the warehouse will take care of, some of the necessities over here. We've got, what have we got? We've got plastics, electronic components, fabric, mechanical components, and electronics. So the warehouse will be able to stock those. And then the open storage will have the steel and the aluminum. So open storage is here. We just need the small one. And as I was describing earlier, if I recall correctly, I did address this previously. But this small storage will also be used by the construction offices to get their steel and their boards and stuff like that. We have room for, 300 plus tons of these individual items. That should be more than enough to service the vehicles we have right now and to store, a couple hundred tons of construction material as well. In the meantime, let me just very quickly check to make sure that I haven't missed a notification over here. Still working away, and up over here, still working away. Almost done, though. Waiting on just 3 tons of gravel. Are you for real? Is it close? Kind of, in a sense. All right, back on task over here. Let's go ahead and place our open storage small. We don't need a connection to that warehouse, but we do need a connection to something else that we'll be putting down over here. Let's rotate you like so. Don't know if this will work. Oh, this will probably not work actually. And then we'll get into the fiddling stage, which means I'll be editing or time lapsing or something. Let's see here. Okay, so this will be able to connect. That's good. We'll get the road connections because for the time being, we'll of course be delivering all these resources by truck. It'll take some time, but what are you going to do? It's what we have available to us. But you might have been able to tell from that sentence that the plan is to, yes, get ourselves a cargo train station in this area. Now, this will be tough. This will be tough. Actually, I can't put it down here because I can't then connect to that warehouse. I want this cargo train station to be able to connect to both the small storage, the small open storage, sorry, and the small warehouse. It is quite a large building. I could go with the smaller cargo train station instead, but then the connections are a little bit wonkier, for lack of a better word. And I won't be able to get the clean train connection, I don't think, this way. So, all right, time to maybe do a bit of fiddling over here. Might need to adjust where this is placed, might need to push it up a bit further, and just buy ourselves a bit more room down over here. I mean, we can obviously try terraforming a bit further before we jump to that, but the road connection is going to be a problem, right? Because we're not going to be able to do that either way. We'll have to flip this around. This road has been completed. Excellent. Glad I have these notifications. Extra helpful when you actually notice them. This one's being built. Okay, good. This should hopefully be built as well. And yeah, we're getting our electricals built as well. That's, by the way, why I needed the covered hull over here. I don't know if I mentioned that when I made that change, but I needed the covered hull to deliver the electronic components. So yeah, glad that's all done. Down over here, how are we looking? Chemicals, crops, yep, looking all good. Clothes being produced, economy is doing okay-ish. It's going to be in shambles when we do all this construction, obviously. It's going to be in complete shambles, because these aren't cheap to build either. They all require steel and all that good stuff, but all in the name of progress. We got to keep moving forward, obviously. And I think this is a worthwhile investment as far as the next steps are concerned. This will make future construction a lot easier. It'll make room for some of the additional industry that I want to prepare. They're all construction-related industry, and that means that when we're not doing construction, we're exporting some of those materials. We can't get everything here because some of these things, some of these buildings are absolutely massive, the ones that we want for our future construction industry. But we can get some of them here, and so I'd like to stop importing as much construction material as we're doing right now. All right, let's see if this has bought us enough room. I'm also very curious, actually, about continuing this road and if it will continue cleanly. I'm a little nervous, rather. I said I'm curious, but in reality, I'm nervous. So just going to flatten it a bit and just do a quick check over here. Yeah, we'll be fine. Yeah, it'll flatten out completely if need be. Okay, so back to it then. Again, if it starts to get too fiddly, yes, we will absolutely edit away, but my hope is that it won't get that fiddly, and I'll just be able to very quickly go, yep, let's go ahead and pop you down, like so, but you're right up there. Even right up there. No, that won't fly. Let's try this. Again, we don't need this connection. It's not like these guys can actually push and pull, but we do need still that the cargo train station. Man. Yeah, this is too tight. All right, here we go. Time for a big adjustment. Time for a big adjustment. Oh, little distraction over here. Construction completed. Let's go ahead and make sure we are making some moves. So, gonna go ahead and ensure this is being built. Yep, and up over here, we're actually gonna make a quick adjustment because I want to make sure this is all built in one fell swoop. So let's go ahead and cancel that connection and this connection. Shouldn't need that anymore. And this should all be one big construction project now. Yep, with the mechanism, it should happen a little bit faster. In fact, let's go ahead and clean this entire temporary connection up. Leave that there in case we need it for something down the line, but otherwise, this will be good, this will be good, and we're actually now able to resume some of our oil exports. We'll need to make an adjustment, obviously. Let's take a look at your buddy here. Instead of pump jack 2, you'll be going to pump jack number 3, doing the same thing. Wait until loaded, make your way to Kurvarud, and that should work smoothly. Yep. Looks good. Beautiful. Go ahead and slowly but surely launch these guys and resume the export of oil. The hope here is that we'll be able to get 2 to 3 cisterns each for the 3 pump jacks, and that should give us a sustainable flow of both cash and oil. And I have a couple of things to actually address on this front based on some of the comments I've seen in the comments of the previous episode and episodes prior as well. And right now I'm just waiting a handful of seconds before sending these guys out individually. Again, they don't do... I'm not going to do line spacing over here, so I'm just relying on sort of manual timing and the inevitability of wait until loaded kicking in and making sure that there's a bit of a gap between these guys. 3 might be too many. I think it'll probably be... I don't know, it might be the right amount. We'll find out soon enough. But let's go ahead and launch our 3rd one, and these guys should now be headed over to get oil moving. But something to address. Many of you have asked if it's not time now to simply build the rest of the infrastructure here, so these vehicles, instead of going to these individual pump jacks, can go to the central loading and unloading station to pull the fuel from the oil and fuel storage over here. And that's an excellent suggestion, and obviously long term that is very much the plan. It will make things much more efficient, but there's a huge initial investment before we can do that, and we simply don't have the capital for it. Some of y'all were asking, well, how expensive can it actually be? And I'm going to go ahead and use just this one single piece of pipe as an example, because if we click on this, we can very quickly see that it'll take about 42 tons of steel to make. Now, how much does steel cost per ton? If we take a look over here, we will find that it costs, if I can do my alphabet, S is for steel. Let's call it 400 rubles per ton. Right, let's call it 400, rounded down. What's 400 times 42? Is that 16,000? Plus, it's closer to 17,000. Right, that's a lot of money. And that's just the steel alone, just for this one pipe. Now, granted, I've picked the longest piece of pipe to make this example, so maybe a little unfair of me. But if we take a look at mechanical components, they cost about, again, let's round down. Let's call it 700. We need 5 tons of mechanical components, so that's 3,500. In fact, it's more because, again, I'm rounding down. I'm doing favorable numbers here, and even still, you can see that this one pipe alone will cost us our entire coffers to build. But let's pick one of the smaller ones. Let's take a look at this one. 12 tons of steel. That's 4,800 rubles right there. This one over here, 10. 4,000. Another 4,000 here, presumably. This one over here, 34 tons. Yeah, you get my point. It's extremely expensive to get all this stuff built. So it's an excellent suggestion, don't get me wrong. That's why we've made all these plans, because it is the more efficient way to do it, but we just don't have the capital to invest right now in order to get all this rolling. Eventually, by the way, the plan is to, yes, have all these guys hooked up, and you might remember we discussed this briefly when we actually built this area, but we'll extend up to the top over here where we're going to establish our oil processing or fuel processing. We'll be producing, yes, fuel, bitumen, chemicals, I believe require oil as well, if memory serves me correctly. So there's a huge complex that's going to be built here, but we're obviously waiting not just for the money, but also for the technology. If we very briefly over here get sidetracked for a moment, I apologize, but I do want to address this quickly. If we take a look at the fossil fuels options, you'll see that the oil refinery actually requires refinery design and construction research. If memory serves, that's available from the Technical University, so there's a bit of time before we can get there. But yes, this imports oil, and it produces fuel, bitumen, and some waste, sure. Both very valuable resources, though, the fuel and bitumen, and we're going to make a ton of money off of those. Otherwise, chemicals as well. The chemical plant requires chemistry, and the chemical plant requires oil. It also requires gravel, some wood, water, etc., but the oil is right here. So what we're going to do is, again, just as a bit of a refresher, we're going to go ahead and hook these lines up, up the hill to the refinery and all those other industries that I was just highlighting. Now, I might actually choose to rotate this. The reason why it faces the way it faces right now is because I was prioritizing delivery into this loading and unloading area, but realistically it might be more valuable to flip this around. Well, no, because then the inputs come from the other side, and I'm not sure how that'll work. Meanwhile, here what we can do is we can just simply go up a little bit perhaps, and yeah, pull a simple line. Only a few more tons of steel. We can also go underground with some of these instead. We'll definitely need pumping stations. Anyway, now I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize, I'm getting fully distracted. But yes, that's the plan over here, and that's why we haven't executed on some of these constructions just quite yet. But I am thrilled that we are able to now use this pump jack. Obviously, it'll take some time for us to be maximizing these pump jacks, all three of them. But we're getting there. We're getting there. I get a nice... there we go. Nice beachfront shot of the work we're putting in. And if we take a quick moment to investigate our economy. I mean, this month, it's only been a few days. We've already made a couple hundred off oil, so let's ignore that. Last month, right, we made nothing. The month prior, we made nothing. The month prior, 13K. Before that, 11. Let's call it 12. Before that, 11. So we've been sacrificing a fair bit of money by cutting off the export of oil, and we still aren't at full like our full rate because we're only using the one pump jack. But once we hit all three of these, we're going to be making a pretty penny. Anyway, enough about that. Back on task over here. Let's let me get to work, and we'll come back shortly. All right, that was a lot. That was a lot of work, folks. I think that was like 20 or so minutes on its own, maybe closer to 30. So this episode might be a little bit on the shorter side in the interest of actually getting it out when it's supposed to go out as per our usual schedule. But that was that was a huge undertaking, and you can see all the moving parts over here before we kick off the actual construction of said moving parts. Before I dive into all the details of how everything is laid out over here, though, I want to very quickly take a look at a couple of things. Well, for one, this notification I don't like the sight of, but for two, I just want to see what the situation is over here. All right, so this has been completed. This looks like it's just started seeing action, but that does mean that we are able to take a look at our other line here and get these guys going. So what's the deal lately? Last month, made about 5K in out of oil. Not a bad start. Let's go ahead and start producing a bit more money here. Got a couple of cisterns we can send out. I can actually purchase a third and get that in this line as well. It looks like 3 is doing okay with this pump jack up over here. Like this one's just about to arrive. I imagine this pump jack will be at about 10 tons by the time this arrives. It can only carry about 11 tons. So it's only a bit of a stutter step, if you will, which isn't bad. So, okay, maybe it's a bit more than... it gets to about 9 tons by the time this one arrives. I think that's okay. I think this is probably... as optimal as we're going to care to get it right now. So we might be able to do 3 cisterns per pump jack. Let's go ahead and launch the second one over here. And eventually we'll, of course, have to buy more for this pump jack. But at the rate that we're making money now, we should be able to do that pretty quickly. And it'll just, again, accelerate our economy. The knock-on effect will be absolutely huge for us. So this will get done soon, hopefully. We'll have more oil going out. This will all look good. Excellent. Up top over here, what's the deal? Yeah, all right, so... as I was so distracted by all our work down there at the construction offices, I left this by the wayside, and that means neither of these have seen any progress. Bit of a bummer, not the end of the world, though. We'll go ahead and make sure all of our workers and resources are headed over. Get both of these done. We should also make sure that the pipe connecting them gets worked on as well, of course. It'd be a shame to not... again, if I get done in by, 10 meters of pipe for a second time in this playthrough, my goodness. But yeah, this will be done soon enough, and that'll start saving us a ton of money. I mean, again, if we just take a quick look over here, folks, last month, yeah, about 8K. It's about 8 to 9K a month in wastewater exports. So this will make a huge, huge difference. I'm looking forward to having it done. But yes, this session, we got largely distracted by the work down over here. So again, you were already aware that we're going to put down a couple of construction offices. Well, rather, I guess you were already aware of what the plan was, and I'm just going to highlight exactly how it played out. So we've got a couple of construction offices over here. These guys will hopefully house enough vehicles to handle the future of Ashkekal's development all the way down to Al Ibrashna. I mean, these are quite large. We'll have more vehicles than we've ever had, obviously, and I think they'll work rather efficiently. So they should be able to sustain us for the foreseeable future, which is very exciting. We'll be getting rid of some of these guys as we're able to move the vehicles to these construction offices. We'll remove all of these construction offices, making room, as mentioned before, for the demolition office, which will hopefully be able to fit here, allowing me to then get rid of this demolition office. We'll then clean up some of the roads over here. The fact that this is not straight absolutely kills me, but as soon as this has been taken care of, we'll be able to fix this. We might need to make some bigger adjustments in this area in general, because I'm planning on again revamping this area and getting some more industry going over here, construction related industries going over here. So that'll probably take a bit of time and effort, but I'm looking forward to it. I have some big plans over here. These guys are all being shipped over and are driving over to the construction sites up over there. Very much looking forward to having basically one of these construction sites dedicated to... well, actually, let me check something real quick. Do we have... Not yet. There are two kinds of cranes. The ones that drive themselves and the ones that need to be driven. The tower cranes. Tower cranes are much more efficient, but they need to have flatbed trucks to carry them around at all. It doesn't... Like, they can't carry themselves around. Unlike the tractors and excavators. But my hope is that one of these construction offices will be dedicated to bulldozers, excavators, rollers, things like that, and the trucks that can move them around, while the other construction office will be dedicated to moving materials and people around. Perhaps I should say workers and resources. Either way, they in tandem should give us some good coverage for all of our needs to come. Apart from these two, we have as well the vehicle repair station, again, as promised. This guy needs quite a few resources, so he is hooked up to the warehouse over here. That'll provide some of them, and the open storage over here. That's these factory connections, allowing the flow of resources. But both of these guys are connected for the time being to some road as well, to ensure that we are able to bring these resources over by road, again, for the time being. And then eventually... This will be a ways away, folks. It's not going to happen right away, but eventually I will want some of these resources to be brought in through train lines. And so in preparation for that, I've gone ahead and put down this cargo train station because I wanted to make sure we were able to get clean connections. So we have one connection up over here with this factory connection, and this connection over here with this factory connection. And what'll happen is, unless I've got this wrong, which I don't think I do, but if I do, feel free to point it out in the comments, folks. But what will happen, based on my past experience playing the game, I don't think it's been changed between then and now, is when the train comes here carrying whatever resources it's carrying, the factory connections will either take them to the warehouse or to the open storage, depending on what the material actually is. So if we bring in, let's say, steel, it'll get taken to the open storage for steel. If we bring in plastics, it'll get taken to the warehouse where plastics can be stored. And then, yes, these factory connections will then take those very same resources into the repair station as they need them. Or, of course, vehicles, like I said, would come through to the open storage to pick up what they need for various construction. And the same goes for this warehouse as well. We can store all construction material, like warehouse construction material, at this storehouse, at this warehouse instead. I was really hoping to squeeze in a road cargo station as well, because then I could have one point at which trucks could come and pick up from either here or here, and to be a bit more efficient than an individual vehicle, sort of lining up. What you'll see from time to time up over here is trucks will line up to go in one by one to pick up resources, but with a road cargo station, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, you can still get a bit of a traffic jam going, but by and large, there are multiple spots for trucks to go into. Things move a lot more efficiently, but I just wasn't able to fit it in. So I'm hoping we get to the trains sooner rather than later. Many of you have been calling for it as well. Don't worry, I'm very excited to delve into them too. But once we have the trains in, we don't have to worry so much about the trucks outside of when construction is happening. So it'll be a bit of a bottleneck, but it's the best I could do with the space that I have available to me outside of preemptively demolishing a bunch of stuff. Even then, I don't think I could fit a road cargo station in here. Why must I tempt myself into investigating? There's a chance. There's the tiniest of chance that I could potentially, once I demolish these, I could potentially nudge this thing a bit further back and then get a road cargo station in there. So I almost wonder if I shouldn't build these construction offices first and hold off on just this section over here so that we can make that slight adjustment if possible. It would make things a fair bit more efficient. Not so much so that we don't have any other option, but a decent bit. Y'all let me know what you think about that. We might do that. But, you know, we got to get these construction offices done first anyway. So maybe that's the right order of operations, just to see if there's an option. And if there isn't, we revert back to this plan, and that'll be fine. All right, that's something to consider, but I'm not done explaining the situation over here. Obviously, we have this cargo train station. I had to rework the roads here to make room for this road connection. I was kind of tempted to build a bridge off the station over here, but that looked really wonky. And in fact, some of these roads look kind of not great either, so I might clean that up a little bit. Maybe I'll clean this up between sessions or something. I'm not too fussed about it, but it could be a little bit tidier. Nonetheless, this provides a road connection out to here. And of course, I wanted to make sure that our tracks would actually not have any issues with the crossings and stuff. So the tracks go out this way as well. You know, we'll probably have the crossing over here because this is too busy an area. Might want to smooth some of this out as well because it looks a little jank, but it's not the end of the world. I'm not too fussed about it. And then these guys can go on, and up over here I wanted to make sure again that we weren't having an issue with an intersection or anything like that, because here what I want to do is eventually get the track over here as well, right? So it'll like come down this way. We'll have to do a bit of smoothing and flattening, but we'll need a junction here. We'll need a junction here, and I'm curious actually how I'm going to go about making said junction. Like, do I do... Because I would like these to be like two parallel tracks as opposed to one. Makes things a bit more complicated. We'll have to do a lot of terraforming over here, and that's fine. But my primary concern right now is the fact that we can, in fact, cross the road here. So let's go ahead and cancel that a little bit. And I might just cancel all this planning for the tracks for the time being. Knowing that it's possible is perhaps enough for now. Yeah, this was a huge undertaking. There was a lot that went into this. All right, before I go ahead and start building all these, I might wait for us to hit 30K or so, or I might decide that I don't have that kind of patience. I just did want to check the government loyalty situation, because we've been getting the citizen loyalty seems too low notification for a little bit now. If we take a look at our population situation, 94 with university education, 22 escapes. Okay, not bad. 94 with university education, that's good. Lots of doctors coming through. No police officers right now, and that's not great. That's not great. Right, I wanted to make some upgrades over here. Right. Are our vehicles or construction offices currently distracted? You're working over here. And we got up over here some excavators as well. I just want to make sure when I commission this upgrade, it can happen quickly. My only hesitation here right now. We have this sidewalk connection we can do as well, just to make sure workers are at least to a degree still able to get here. And in fact, you know what? Hang on a second. This might just do the trick for the time being. Stand out of here. It's kind of like pull straight out to there. Connect like so. What do you know? That alone would do the trick over there, over here as well. These guys are probably a little too far away. No, they're not. Oh, what do you know? That's all we need. A little bit of sidewalk love. A walkable city. Who knew? Let's go ahead and very carefully. Only start the construction of this infrastructure here. Get this done. Make sure these guys are able to go there. Wish I'd pulled the trigger on this a little bit sooner, but hey, it is what it is. And then let's get ready to pull the trigger down over here. Next time. Folks, this is where we're calling it a session. We're right on the cusp of 1965. We managed to largely recover our economy. I mean, truth be told, we haven't really paused. We haven't really stopped moving forward. You know, time was going ahead at normal speed. I could have maybe double timed it, but I was a little worried that something would explode and we'd be in trouble. But, you know, time has been going forward. We've been planning, and as we've been doing so, we've been collecting rubles as well, slowly reinitiating our oil exports, and that's going to help more and more. The, you know, clothing situation seems to be working all right. We're getting, well, that's a lot of fabric. What is happening with clothes output? We got to get more workers coming over here. Something's up. Unless we literally just picked up about 2 tons of clothes and things are actually looking fine. I'm sure things could be a bit more efficient, though. That's a lot of fabric just sitting here doing nothing. Nonetheless, not to get distracted by that, folks, let's go ahead and call it a session over here. Next time, we're going to go ahead and begin the construction of the newly planned area. Look how massive it is. It is the size of all of this and then some, it feels like. And the connectivity it'll provide is absolutely insane. I cannot wait to get these tracks going over to where all of our chemical processes are happening, where we're producing the bitumen and the chemicals to bring back to this warehouse and to help produce the fabrics. Like, this is all going to be connected, and I cannot wait for that era. Obviously, it's a ways away, but we're seeing the initial steps of it, at least. And that's very exciting. Folks, if you find it exciting, if you found this series thrilling so far and you're looking forward to more to come, please don't hesitate to keep letting me know by leaving those likes and comments down below. Apart from that as well, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, you might want to consider subscribing, because there's a ton more workers and resources to come, and I can't see myself ever stopping playing this game. It's just so good. It's just so good. But folks, with all that said, as always, a massive thanks goes out to all of the channel members and patrons who've been supporting the channel on a monthly basis. They'll keep us alive and running smoothly. And of course, a big old thanks goes out to each and every one of you for watching. Until next time, cheers.